Hey.
Live.
Hey, what's up,
Another
everybody?
episode.
Another Wednesday, middle of the
Another
week
Wednesday.
Wednesday. How y'all doing?
I'm just loving this hump day. How is your day?
I love it. I'm good.
I'm good. I like Wednesdays, and I like this time too. It's like right, like at the end of the day and everything. I like it. I like our new set.
Yeah, I think, you know what? You're in the Bay Area, right, Lawrence?
Yeah.
I think if you were to look outside, it would be way lighter out there than it is here, which is kind of weird in LA. And I was arguing with, I was going back and forth with my little sister, and we discovered that California is on an arch. So Los Angeles is more inland
Yeah.
in the Bay Area. So when you guys still got all the light, it gets dark here, which is not fair. But you know.
Yeah. When you first brought it up, I was like, that doesn't make sense. But you're right. It is shaped like the
At an angle.
the thing. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, so you know all the tectonic plates. Y'all okay though? Y'all didn't feel the earthquake that I felt. I was gonna say.
And then what about the
didn't.
smoke? How's the smoke?
So
Say that-
the smoke's all right. The smoke's
Yeah.
been good. It's been passing. But
Yeah.
I like spent 10 years in LA, and I felt way more earthquakes in LA than I've ever felt in the Bay.
Yeah,
Like,
it was pretty
that's a
bad.
normal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody, make sure you're being safe, social distancing, get your earthquake kits together because Mother Earth is on something lately.
Look,
Yeah.
it might be a tsunami next.
Knock on wood, man.
But as we, Gigi's going to hop in just a moment. She just let us know, so she'll be here. But thank you all for tuning in. We have a very special episode that we're very excited about today. And today is September 23rd. We are almost in October. Can you guys believe this?
I can't.
This is
Just let 2020 be over. Please.
just let it roll out.
Let's just let it roll.
2021.
No, it's not. Nah, I gotta have faith. Come on now.
Okay.
Cross your fingers. I hope it's better.
Okay.
But speaking of which, we have some news updates to update with you guys. One very important news update. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Lawrence so he can give us some more information.
Yes. Unfortunately, we're reporting bad news today on the topic of Breonna Taylor. As many of you may have heard or seen in your social media feeds, it came out today that the Attorney General of Kentucky said he will not be pressing charges against any of the murderers of Breonna Taylor. One of the three individuals is being charged with reckless endangerment, wanton endangerment. Pretty much what that means is that it wasn't a purposeful act. They're not charging him with something that he admittedly was doing on purpose. It's saying that he was reckless or careless with his shooting when he shot the gun. And again, this is not for Breonna Taylor. It's not about her boyfriend. It's that he shot the weapon and the bullet went into the neighbor's home. So that's how they're charging him for that liability. We brought up last week or the week before when the $12 million civil verdict came out. We talked about how it's separate from the criminal aspect. So again, the civil $12 million their family will get, but this pretty much closes the chapter on the criminal investigation. So these three individuals will not be charged.
And
It's horrible. It's horrible news. I don't know any other way to put it. And even the way that the city and the state of Kentucky went about it, they brought in the National Guard. They made sure all police were on deck. They were getting ready for protests because they knew it was messed up.
Yeah. So from your legal perspective, you say that it's pretty much closing the book. Is that it? Can the family, reopen the case? Can they press other charges? I know sometimes they end up doing a civil suit. If they didn't get the murder charge, what do you think would be the next course of action?
Great question. So the civil suit is already done. The $12 million, that settlement is you sign that settlement. It has a whole bunch of different agreements, and it pretty much says this is all you get. You can't get any more than that. So the civil suit is done. And on the criminal side, the only person that can bring charges is the DA and the Attorney General of the state. So this went all the way up the ladder. He's the most important prosecutor in the state. And if he's saying he's not pressing charges, that's pretty much it. The federal government, in theory, could come and press charges, but there's no way that the federal government is going to come and infringe upon like a state's rights after the state has already said they're not pressing charges. So sadly, this was really it. I don't think there'll ever be true justice in this case.
That's really sad. And then speaking of the DA, for those of you who don't know, that is Mr. Daniel Cameron, who had a speech as well accompanied with this announcement. And I just want to reiterate to everyone that we have the power to elect our DAs and our officials. And when things like this do come about, and when justice is not served, this is, in a way, this is on our hands as a people. We're not voting. Skin folk ain't always kinfolk, you know, as Jasmine said earlier when we were talking before the show. Jasmine, what are your thoughts about it briefly?
It's really heartbreaking, you know. I'm a say Malcolm X's quote: "The most disrespected woman in America is the Black woman. The most protected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is a Black woman." And it's just proves Malcolm X's point time and time again. Black women are dismissed. I just don't understand how the case went from justice for Breonna Taylor to endangering her neighbors. To me, that's just two separate cases, two separate trials, and they conflated it into this one trial, knowing that she wasn't going to get the justice she deserves. So I'm praying for her family. I'm praying for her friends, that they hold it together during this time, and the city of Louisville.
Yeah. It's Louisville.
I'll comment on that too. To me, that comes off as just completely erroneous. Like you said, you're mixing two things together. It seems like a political move by the Attorney General to say, okay, well, we'll bring charges against one person because at least the news media will run with that. They know most people won't get into the weeds and really understand what's going on. So if they can throw the people a bone or whatever, I think that was their way of saying, we hope we don't get as many riots. And that's insulting. It's insulting to us as a people. It's insulting to Breonna Taylor's family. It's insulting all the way around that. And again, he was indicted in a grand jury. What that means is that it's only step one. They can bring charges against this person. And now what they're probably going to, and the maximum charge for that sentence is 1 to 5 years. He'll probably go through the trial process, maybe plead out and get probation or something like that. So this entire thing about one person getting charged out of the three, it's just a political move to you know, shine some light on a different area to bamboozle us, not come out and just say, we're not pressing charges on anybody.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to throw it to you, Miss Gigi. Hey, girl.
Hey.
We're just going over the decision in regards to Breonna Taylor's case. I wanted to know what your thoughts are about that.
You know, I have so many thoughts. One thing that I can say is that justice still has not been served. And I think that the way in which they're handling everything is very strategic. So I feel like the closer we get to election, it's like they're giving us a little bit more. They're giving us a little bit more. And so I just want to encourage everyone to, yes, we have to stay focused on Breonna Taylor, but also to remember to research your local judges and as well as the congressmen and the people that are in office that are making these local decisions. Because I do think that the way in which they're handling this situation is very, very strategic.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we will keep you guys updated. Thank you, Lawrence, for giving us that information as well as from a legal standpoint. We want to encourage everyone again, as you know, October 5th is what we're having as a call to action to make sure that you put in your votes by October 5th, not waiting until November, no excuses. We're at the finish line, you guys. Things need to happen, especially with us covering the topic of the Supreme Court nomination now that RGB is gone. But we have an interesting topic to discuss today, and even more
a happy topic.
A happier topic.
One of my favorites.
We hope. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. We have, someone who is not a stranger to the show, Mr. Ron Deuce, and his amazingly talented and wonderful, beautiful wife, Nakia Rashawn. Welcome to Yup Live.
Welcome.
Yay. We need those fake audience claps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we do.
How are you all doing?
Clap in the comments, y'all. Clap in the comments.
Everything's well over there?
Yes, all is well over here. I mean, we're taking in the new information of what's going on in the world, but we're grateful to have our health and be together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. But I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Jasmine, but I just wanted to thank you all again for coming on. We had an amazing part 1 of our relationship series where we discuss dating. So Ms. Jerica had the idea, why don't we talk about marriage, and why don't we talk about Black marriage specifically, as so many of us think that it is extinct. There's what some are calling a false narrative that's floating around. So Jasmine, I'm going to throw it over to you, and we're going to talk about Black marriage.
Yes. So last week, like Sharif said, we talked about dating, the perils of dating. Should we date on social media apps? Should we just not date and give up on men? Or what's dating like for everyone else? So we wanted to come on and bring a couple on the show to talk about our marriages becoming extinct. As Black people, you know, I feel like people say, let me marry white people, let's float in the pond a little bit. So let's talk to, you can take me off the screen completely now and talk to our lovely couple. How did you all meet? How long you've been married? Tell us a little bit about your love story.
Well, I was a part of the rap group, The Technicians, in the Bay Area. And we just so happened went to a party in Sacramento. We had started expanding on our region, you know what I mean, doing shows in the Bay, then moving on to Sacramento. So we went to a party, and I met Nakia, and she was just glowing, you know what I mean? I stepped to her, told her that, you know, she was pretty, gave her a nice comment, and I was really just attracted to her energy. And it wasn't necessarily what she had on, or like super sex appeal, although I do feel she's sexy, right. But it was just something that spoke to me, and I didn't know what it was at the time, and now I see that you know, everything obviously happens for a reason. And while we were in the function or whatever, one of my best friends realized that his girlfriend was going to Sacramento State with Nakia, and they just so happened to be in the same class, and his girlfriend was from the Bay. So it was just sort of like divine intervention, to be honest.
Awesome. So Nakia, is that how it happened? You know how there's always
what's the story from you, girl?
Give us the real story, girl.
So I mean, as he said, it was, you know, well, the ladies, you know how when your girlfriends talk you into going out and you really don't want to go out, so you like, whatever, I'm gonna go. I'm not doing nothing to dress up. I'm wearing my flats. I believe I did wear flats that night too, and I had, it was just like them put no effort into nothing, because I didn't want to talk to me. We were just gonna go and have a good time with my girls, and you know, go back to school tomorrow, the next day or whatever. And then Duran came up to me. The first question he asked me was, "What's your favorite color?" And so I was just like, "Wait, what? My favorite color?" And so just by the way, like, although he came in and he was with a group of people, he came up to me by himself and he just addressed me like, and didn't say anything about, "Oh, you fine," and like how all the other guys in SAC would be like just whistling and being, you know, how they approach women.
At calling.
He just like came at me real different. And then to find that one of my good friends from my learning community at Sac State was his best friend's girlfriend, it was like, okay, so is this meant to be? Literally everybody in my class went to Berkeley High, and we all knew each other, and so everything was pointing me into that direction. We go to a friend's birthday or anything, it was like he was there and his best friend was there, and so we just kind of been rocking ever since. So yeah.
So what was that transition, Ron, from when you were dating, courting her, blah, 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 to like, okay, I'm married?
Ooh, that's a long story. Let's see.
The last part of the story.
Yeah. Last 6 months.
Let's see, in a nutshell. Well, Nakia and I got together and we started dating, and about, I want to say 3 or 4 months after we started dating, she got pregnant. And we ended up losing our son that she was pregnant with. And in a sense, pretty much bonded us together. So Nakia got pregnant again, obviously, with our son, Peyton. And once she got pregnant with him, I remember just being hungry, being, you know, like feeling like I got to do something now. I got a son, like I got to get off my, you know, my butt, and I got to do something. I got to make something of myself, because at the time I was really, I was rapping, but I really didn't have a goal besides the normal goals of like doing shows, like being popular, making a little money. So I had to think bigger. So I started going to school for audio engineering. He had started going to Paul Mitchell Hair School. And then we decided to expand on our dream and move here to Los Angeles. Once we got here, she got pregnant with our third child, really, which is our daughter, Zoe. And, you know, we've been through a lot, to be honest. We've been through a lot. We separated for a while when we came here to Los Angeles, actually. And we both, you know, went our separate ways and came back together because we realized that we were stronger together.
I love that. Stronger together. Let's talk about that.
Yes. And that's, I think that, go ahead.
All right. I had just one quick follow-up question. This came up in our previous conversation last week about relationships. And this one is for you, Ron. Sharik actually asked me this before, and I want to know your opinion. When you got to the point when you were ready to get married, was it A, that you already knew you were ready to settle down, or was it B, when Nakia came into your life, you just knew she was the one? My bad. I didn't mean to hit you with the hard question so early, man.
Would it be safe to say that it was a little bit of both?
Yeah.
When I first met Nakia, I was, either 17 or 18 years old. So marriage wasn't on my mind. It was definitely planted deep down in my heart. But when Nakia and I separated, which was in 2017, January 2017, I went through a couple months where I was actually like single. I was dating and I was seeing what was out there. And I pretty much realized that it don't get no better than her.
That's how it normally happens. Yes.
It happened like real quick. And I didn't automatically assume marriage though. I just assumed like, okay, like me and the kid, we gotta get it together. And then I start thinking like, okay, if we do get back together, there has to be something that's different. And I started thinking deeper about it. And I realized that me and the kid had been together since 2007. So before we got married, that was 10 years. And I never felt the pressures of getting married because I always felt like when I got married, I wanted to get married on my own time, have a nice wedding, and do it how I would want to do it. And it worked out that we were financially able to afford to get married. I was able to find a nice ring at the in the Los Angeles Jewelry District. Shout out to Patty Jewelers. And the rest is history.
Okay. No, I think that's good. And Ron, I'm glad you said that because it kind of tied into my question. Since you guys are in LA, I feel like dating in LA is its own beast in itself. And to be married and to be Black and married in LA is definitely an amazing thing. So I kind of want to hear from you guys. How did you navigate like challenges and temptations, you know, just being here in a culture that doesn't really necessarily support marriage?
I'll start with that one. I would say if anytime I came across someone that was trying to get too comfortable being married and all, I would overly kind of throw in there like, yes, my husband, and just kind of tell them, just let people know that I'm happily married I'm not thinking or looking no other way besides my husband's way. And if it's any other thing, it's like, how can we both come together to like grow and build on our foundation for our children? I just don't entertain. I don't like to entertain anyone in any type of way out here, because you can be friendly and it's easily transition to something we've learned. And I just think that us coming together and doing things together as much as we can, or bringing each other into each other's worlds, whether it's us working together on projects, whether no matter what, because he's in the music industry. And although I'm a hairstylist, it's like he's very insightful, and he's graduated from college. He is a genius to me. So it's like I get all kind of like advice. He's a great speaker, so I'm not so much. I'm working on that, but I always.
Oh, you're doing good.
Yeah, I come to him for advice and his opinion, and you know, sometimes just as my best friend, and just kind of getting his insight in how we can come together and just grow and build. So that's.
I'll say it's definitely not easy being in Los Angeles. And we're still struggling with that. So we have some friends that don't hit us up because they feel like, oh, I know y'all married, y'all busy, y'all got kids. It's like, you know, we still active, we still doing stuff. Y'all can hit us up, you know, we'll find a way to get out. Then you have some friends that we've grown closer with, you know what I mean? And it's really hard. The only thing that really keeps me sane is just knowing that we moved out here for a reason. You know what I mean? We taking care of our business, you know what I mean? Doing what we got to do, following our dreams, getting it done, and then coming home at the end of the day. But it does get a little lonely, because we do feel like a lot of our friends that are organically there for us and that have been there for us are, you know, back in Northern California, Forquilla, Sacramento, the Bay Area. And then sometimes it doesn't allow us to have like that space, you know what I mean? Since we're always like with each other, you know what I mean? We live together, we see each other. I don't have a lot of friends that be like, hey man, come over, watch the game, you know what I mean? So sometimes Nakia, you know, she has a lot of friends here. So sometimes when she does leave, I may feel like a little lonely, like, damn. But then it's like when we're here together, sometimes, you know, just as individuals, we do need that space. So it's tough. We still trying to navigate it.
And I'm so glad that you said that as well. Like, you're being transparent. Like, it's tough, right? Because sometimes people don't invite you out as much when they know that you're in a relationship, or you're married, or you have kids, because they just make sometimes assumptions that you're busy without actually just inviting. Even if I decline, sometimes it's good just to be invited. You know what I mean? But I do want to say something. Both of you guys are very, very talented. And I like to think that you guys are an amazing power couple. That's how at least that's how I advertise you on my Instagram, because I feel that in my head. But I would love, even though you guys are humble, for you guys just to tell a little bit more about what each of you guys do, because we all know that you're in entertainment, but just for some of our followers, they don't really know exactly everything that you guys do. I would love you guys to share a little bit more about that, so people can know a little bit more about you guys and who you really are.
Well, I am a hairstylist here in Los Angeles. I work with some of the, to me, most influential entertainers, such as Beyonce, Sean Carter, Tia Mowry, Mrs. Tina Lawson, and just to name a few that I'm very inspired by.
And I'm an audio engineer. I went to Pinnacle Soundmaster College, graduated with audio engineering degree, and then I'm also a songwriter, rap artist. Currently, Nakia and I are trading Forex. Y'all want to learn how to trade Forex? You know what I mean? Nice little side hustle way to make money. So we're entrepreneurs through and through, creatives, and just pursuing careers through the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Nice.
since the topic is marriage growing stage, what do you all think is kind of your foundation, and how are you building upon your marriage? So different people's marriages have different priorities. What are your priorities for you guys' marriage?
I would say the first thing that comes to mind is breaking generational curses. The kids both come from broken homes. My mother went through 2 marriages. I met my father for the first time when I was 18. Nikia's father was absent in her life. Her mother was also married.
My mom got married when she was older, so that was one thing. And not really having any husbands to look and see what it's like to have a husband or a father around, or any wives. And so the wives that I knew growing up would be clients or when I go to church, but it wasn't that many people who you were around constantly, because as a kid growing up, it was like, you know, you would see different guys here and there throughout like my family, or people being together and, you know, everyone having kids, but then the father comes around when they want to, or not at all in most cases. So it's always just like the women being the mom and the dad and like being the strong person. So we just didn't want that for
so breaking generational curses like really the foundation and what keeps us molded together and always feeling like we have a mission, because as we both got older, we both realized the damage that was done from us being, you know, coming from broken homes, the effect that it had on, you know, us individually. And then, you know, the fact that we have kids and we had both of our kids before marriage, we really want to emphasize to them that they can be productive in society. And we're also, you know, embedding in them early, you know, teaching them about, you know, marriage. Like my daughter's already looking at dresses, and, you know, I'm already planting like the little seeds, like, you know, you're going to marry a prince or a king one day, you know, talking to my son about it, just planting, you know what I mean?
That's interesting. Go ahead, Lawrence. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's a great point, and I wanted to, like, I guess, ask a follow-up question on that. You mentioned, Ron, that you knew deep inside of you, even at an early age, that you wanted to get married eventually. And we've noticed just in society, you know, society's become more secular. The church isn't as big about marriage as it used to be. People don't get married as much for a whole bunch of different reasons. I want to know from you and Nikia, like, before you guys even met each other, how did you know that you wanted to get married, or marriage was something for you guys?
For me, I feel like I've always been like just a lover. In a sense, like I've always been like a one woman type of, you know, guy. My mom worked at a health center, so like I would see many patients coming in who had, like, you know, STDs, like AIDS. You would be testing like a lot of patients, so it was like very eye-opening to me to see people who had multiple partners and some of the, you know, things that came with that. So I was always very conscious of that, like from a young age, when I would have to like go to my mom's job. So that's one thing. The second thing I would say, seeing my mom hurt, you know what I mean, going through 2 marriages, always felt like, you know, when I had girlfriends, my mom would be like really involved in my relationships. You know what I mean? Not too much, but, you know, she would want to know the person. Like if we were going somewhere, even if I was 16, like she would drop us off at the movie theater. So from that point, it's sort of unconsciously put it in my mind that like my mom wants to see me be a good man. You know what I mean? And she wouldn't accept anything else. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. For me, it was just wanting that, not necessarily the fairy tale husband and family, but not seeing that, and listening to some of my friends when I'm going through school. It was I think one of my friends from elementary school had her mom and dad with her, and I just remember the mom and dad coming to the sports games and everything, and just like rooting her on, and like if she had boy problems or anything, the dad was up there at the school, and then different times where it was like girl problems and bullying or whatever, the mom will be there, they come together, and I'd just be like, man, like I wonder what that would be like. And that always waited for my dad to come, and he would always promise, oh, I'll be there, and never show up. It was something that I was like, no, I'm gonna have kids. For me, it was like, I'm gonna get married and then have children, and this is how it's gonna be. And of course, as we got older and things changed, we didn't get married right when we had children, but just instilling in our children that this is what you want, and you want to be happy, and you want to be able to speak and be comfortable in your relationships, and you and not who your partner may want you to be, and be strong and love. Love.
Yeah. And it's definitely not perfect.
Right.
I seen this quote the other day. I posted it, and it said something to the nature of, I've seen one night stands turn into to marriage, like a lifetime of being together. I've seen people be together and then not work out. So I'm really I really campaign the fact that it doesn't have to be perfect. Even if you do have kids before marriage, and if you meet someone and you don't think they're your type or whatever it is, nothing is perfect and set in stone. Like for us, the road was like this. So when I see people going through what they're going through, I just encourage them to keep pushing.
No road, really.
That's powerful.
That's really amazing. I want to kind of open it up to everybody, because I know we were posting the flyer and getting some engagement. I know I put a poll on my Instagram. I think Gigi put a poll on her Instagram, and I kind of did that to test the waters, just to kind of get everybody's input and to kind of see a little bit about the statistics in terms of what people think. So I posted a poll on my Instagram. Make sure you follow me at Shrika May. And I asked the question that Miss Gigi gave us, which is, do you think Black marriages are extinct? And when I look at my poll results, it was almost split exactly in half. And what I noticed, you guys, is that majority of the men were saying yes, and the women were saying no. So what do you guys think that may attest to? And then, I have my thoughts. I'll get to that. But what do you guys think that is? Why do you think certain people think that it's extinct? And what are the causes of it?
Well, I think the challenge is, and I say this with a grain of salt, not all men, but a lot of men want their cake and want to eat it too. They have a plethora of women to choose from. Why settle down with just one? Or she's not perfect, or she nags me too much, or she does this too much. And it'd be that one thing that negates all the benefits of having a woman by your side just because you've had bad experiences with XYZ. That's what I've heard.
Do you think that's a black issue specifically?
Not specifically, no. I think, and it's also a wealth thing. Like, if I am, am I going to marry up or am I going to marry down? I think, or are we going to be equally both? I think that's a big factor too. And typically, Black women are making more money than Black men, so it's less beneficial for the woman to marry a Black man if he's not making equal or more.
I saw that, Lawrence.
I know, Lawrence.
Relationship. So yeah, I'll chime in. I think that going to your poll, right? There are men out there that just don't want to get married. And I think it's really important to understand that you got to take them out of the equation. As Ron said, like deep down in his heart, he knew that was something he might want. There's a lot of dudes out here that just don't want that. And we live in a different society. Like I brought it up, like church isn't as big as it used to be, especially like the Black church and communities. The money aspect, right? Women are making more money, men are making more money. If you have the money, you don't necessarily need to come together. And people are more okay with having kids and not being married. That was another like major factor. It's like, I'm gonna get married, then have kids. I know dudes that already have a couple kids and now they're like, I got my kids, I'm happy, I don't want marriage. And so I think that marriage in general, it's not what it used to be, but I still think it's prominent in the Black community. It's just prominent for the people that actually want it. And the people that outside, I don't judge anybody. Like, I want to get married one day, but that's something, regardless of who I meet, whatever, that's always been in my mind. Like, that's something that I actually want. So I just think we got to like make sure that everybody, like, if you're trying to find a partner, and Sharik and Gigi, you guys both said this, like, be direct, say what you want. And if you know this is what you want, you should go into it looking for somebody that wants those same things. Don't be trying to put a square peg in a round hole, because that ain't gonna work. That don't work.
Gigi?
I'm gonna save my little comments after the married couple, because I'm gonna lead us into the next topic. Mine goes directly with that. So
yeah, Ron and Nakia, what do you guys say to that when people say Black marriages are extinct, or people give up hope on finding love? A lot of times we see the glorification of mixed relationships, such as Mr. Daniel Cameron, the DA in Louisville, Kentucky. So what are, I mean, being that you are an example of a Black marriage that is thriving, you both are very, very powerful within your own rights. What is your response to that, other than we are an example?
I want to touch on what Jasmine said, because I agree that marriage and the mindset of marriage has changed, and it runs deep, because Black men are incarcerated. Black women are, in a sense, more successful than Black men. They're given more opportunities. And it's just hard. It's hard right now because of what Black people are going through. Then you got to think, when the Black father is removed from the home and you have a mother raising a Black son on her own, then like those values of marriage aren't getting passed down, because there's a lot of trauma. You know what I mean? There's a lot of pain. So it's just tough, man. I just try and be, an example. You know what I mean? And try to be one of the people that reverses the course.
Yeah, I feel the same.
And I just want kind of to piggyback off of that. It's like, if a Black woman, if she is making less and she expects to be courted and have these things to make her feel like a quote unquote woman in a relationship, then a man to call her husband, or quick to say she's just using him for his money and blah blah blah. So what do you all think about that?
I have a lot of thoughts about, but I would love to hear from Nakia, because I was waiting on your comment to that last question.
I feel like a lot of people tend to be projecting their own insecurities or feelings onto other relationships. And in my experience from growing up until now, being a married woman, sometimes it's the people who haven't experienced a happy marriage, or people who have experienced trauma, as Duran said. They tend to project those different things because they haven't experienced having that similar relationship, or those similar problems, or other situations that successfully or happily married people have. And I say that not saying that happily married relationships are perfect, because I don't think nothing's perfect. So I kind of just, sometimes I'm very open to listening to what people have to say, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna take that information and run with it. Like, I'll pick and choose what I want to take from people. And then, then I'll come to my husband, or we'll kind of like, we have our own way of dealing with things, because at the end of the day, we're all very different people, and we're together for a reason. Another married couple may be together for a complete different reason than what we are. So I just feel like it just depends on the couple and the people, and you have to kind of have your own, have your own feeling and insight of who you are and who you're with. And if you are truly happy and you want to be with that person, then I think at the end of the day, then that's all that matters. Like, you're gonna make it work, or if you don't want it to work, then something.
Well, let me mold the two, because I feel like I get what you were saying, Jasmine. For one, I feel like which I love to see. I feel like Black women are rising up. Like we talked about, we had a hip hop section that we talked about last time I was on here, and you see Black women, they're rising up. Like men, you know, back in the 90s, early 2000s, like rappers were calling women like, you know, can we cuss on her?
Yeah.
You know, bitches, and like the rap, honestly, hip hop music sort of was demeaning to Black women. And now you see Black women are like turning the tide, and like they're doing their thing, and they're sort of like dogging men. And although I don't condone it, I do believe that like our Black women should be confident. I don't believe that Black men are up here and a Black woman should be here. Like I feel like we should, you know, be here together. So
you're not a hotep. No, I'm messing.
So, you know, but see, here's the tricky part. I feel like we live in a society, and I was talking to Nakia about this, and I always say this. We live in a society where people are raising their children up to be more independent. Whereas like back in the older days, the only thing they were really getting their children ready for was for marriage. Like, you know, you're gonna marry your husband one day. I'm gonna teach you how to cook, clean. You're gonna do all of this for your husband, yada, 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 right? Now parents are teaching their kids to be independent. It's more about, you know, like self-wealth, you know what I mean? Like you going after what you feel you need to go after. And if you get married, if you find someone, that's like an add-on. So that's why I'm like planting the seeds in my kids now. I'm not gonna force marriage on them, but I am going to, you know, plant the seeds of being married and finding a partner that they can share their lives with and build with.
Good. I want to throw it to this comment real quick and shout out to another Berkeley High alumni.
What up?
She says, Factor, the visual of seeing Black love has affected men in a good way and has given them more knowledge. I love that comment for a few reasons, because I do think that that is so incredibly true. And I think that when you see things in front of you that may inspire you to take action in that direction. And what you mentioned, Ron, was very important. The fact that we do come from, a lot of us, broken homes where our men were either not at home because they're working, or they're in jail, or they're not alive, or, you know, there's so many different ramifications around that. So I do love that you said that. And I do want to throw it over to Gigi, because this leads into a very interesting discussion point.
Yeah, so you guys know I love topics like these. And one of the reasons why I brought it up is because I had a conversation about a couple of days ago with an influencer. And long story short, he posted this very controversial post. And it was basically like alluded to that there's really no benefits to men getting married. And so in that post, it says, there's nothing in it from them. What exactly does marriage offer men today? Men know there's a good chance they'll lose their friends, their respect, their space, their sex life, their money. It all goes wrong, their family says, Helen Smith, PhD. They don't want to enter into a legal contract with someone who could effectively take half their savings, pensions, and property when the honeymoon period is over. Men aren't wimping out by staying unmarried or being commitment phobes. They're being smart. Unlike women, men lose all power after they say I do. Their masculinity dies too. Okay.
God,
So,
that's how you feel?
Wow.
So of course I saw it and I was immediately triggered. Okay, I grew up in a two-parent household. I believe in the sanctity of marriage, and so, you know, it was. I was like, y'all, we got to talk about this, okay? And so here's the thing. I personally believe that there are benefits to being married, but I think due to cultural and how how we're raised and everything like that, that has kind of been, I don't want to say displaced, but it's almost like what we've been saying. A lot of women are making more money than men. A lot of men already have their kids, or women have their kids. So it's kind of like, what's the point of being married? A lot of people feel. And so I want to open it up to you guys that, I don't even know if you guys remember everything. I'm sure everybody probably took out bits and pieces of that.
Yeah.
But I really want to hear from you guys what you thought about the post and what are some benefits to being married.
What
Lawrence?
I can't wait to talk about it, because reading that post and reading it again, I would say that like I agree with at least half of it. And the thing about it is that you do lose a lot being in a relationship, or I'm not married, but potentially being married, but you gain a lot too. What I would say to that person is that whatever you do in life, you're going to have to give up something to get something. When you go to work, I give up 10 hours of my day that I could be doing something else, but you get a paycheck, you get this other stuff. And I think that I used to think like that. And then I realized that I just wasn't dating the right people. I wasn't dating the right person. You need to find somebody that you like, find somebody that's your partner, find somebody that adds value to your life. If it's not money, someone that can like be there for you when you're down, someone that can motivate you. But I was out here dating people because my friend said that was cute, or, you know what I'm saying, she fit the profile of who I should be dating, instead of dating a friend. And then once you see, it's easy to find the value of people. Like that post to me was just a person, it seemed like a person that was bitter and they never dated somebody that they actually liked. Right. And so when you date somebody you like and add value, then yeah, you give up some. It's, you know, you don't have as many of like my female relationships or whatever might die down some, but you gain so much more.
Okay. And then last week we had a question, and I'm opening it up to everybody. But when we ended the conversation, one of the last comments we got was, what's the point of titles? And marriage is the ultimate title. So if I can't get a girlfriend title, then how am I going to transition into a marriage title? Does anyone have any thoughts on why titles are important? Or?
Well, I want to say this because I'm just noticing a couple things in terms of like female and male dynamics, and as how we speak about marriage in terms of men and in terms of women. And a lot of times when we're speaking about men, which, you know, what you brought up, Gigi, it was kind of in a negative connotation. Men are being locked down. Men are being, you know, changed. They're
like they're being in jail. I'm like, dang.
You know, it's that kind of narrative. But then when I hear Ron speak about marriage, you know, nothing against you, Ron, but I hear you saying that you're talking, your daughter wants to get married. You know, so I think we teach our daughters at very young ages that marriage is the thing that we have to aspire to. And this is a cultural thing that dates back to eons and eons. Like a woman, that was her lot in life, was to grow up, be married to a man, hopefully a wealthy man, and bring wealth and honor to the family. That was what she was supposed to do. So for men, it's kind of like, what is the benefit for me? I get, you know, how that narrative can be there because it's never been for them, so to speak. It doesn't seem as though marriage has been really built as a construct that was beneficial for a man, other than to spread his loins and spread his seeds around in an ethical manner, if that's what he decides to do. So what do you guys think? Do you think that's a historical construct, or do you think he's legitimate within his own unique feelings, if they're unique?
That was actually a woman that wrote that, y'all.
That was a woman?
Oh, wow.
I really
okay, now I can throw it to the couple. I just wanted to throw that out there. A woman wrote that.
Did y'all know that?
No, I didn't know that. I thought that was.
Well, then I assumed. So what's wrong with you? That's the thing.
Well, I think about it this way. Like we said earlier, women got married so that they can be in this relationship and get taken care of by the men. It was an honor to them. Well, now we can be independent. We don't necessarily need a man to make sure we're wealthy and make sure we're taken care of. So I think we should be redefining what marriage looks like and what marriage is for. Like, are we coming together for love at this point? And I think if we don't even know how to love ourselves, or if we don't even know what love is from two people in the household, then it's hard to imagine yourself in a love-only relationship or a love-focused relationship.
I like that topic. Nakia, when I started reading, I saw you kind of shift in your seat a little bit. So I would love to hear your thoughts, and then Ron, you know, you too, Ron. But you know, Nakia, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I couldn't tell if it was from a male perspective or a woman perspective. Right. I think how it was written. I just feel like that came from someone that has been either hurt repeatedly, or also someone that have watched other people close to them maybe getting hurt. So it just felt like really like I mean, I could understand some of the aspects of where they're coming from, but it just seemed like a really like heavy projection.
Like they bitter.
Yeah, very bitter. And it's
like Dr. Dre probably is right now.
Man, yeah, it just felt like a strong projection of hurt. And I mean, and that's a lot of the problem what's wrong in our community, because those are the people that's giving advice to people who maybe wanting to get married, and they're like changing people's minds, or like putting that on people, thinking that like that might be what they're going into if they decide to get married. And it's like, dang.
I'm a firm believer that
you're absolutely right. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The that she put out is what she gonna get back. I love my cousin. I'm not gonna say his name, but I have a cousin that, like, I mean, he talks bad about women. He sees women as an object. And I'm still there for him, you know what I mean? Because I know one day he's gonna change his mind. But the thing about it is, I told him before, I'm like, first off, the reason that you're running into the type of women that you're running into is because of where you're going to meet these women. You know what I mean? The type of women that you find yourself attracted to, right? And then when you meet them, your intent, like if you have specific intentions and you get that back, then that's like what you wanted, right? So you sort of get out, you know, what you see in a sense. So yeah, to me in that post, it seemed like there was a lot of trauma, you know, like I spoke about.
Yeah, I can see it, but I also think too, to that point, that what we see is, you know, I mean, I'm sure some of us follow like blogs like The Shade Room, and so public divorces like Dr. Dre and Tiger Woods, a lot of people automatically took the man's side, and it was like, why do they deserve all of this money? Like, I don't understand that. And so it became a debate, especially 2 days ago, which was, why does the wife deserve to have all of these things? And I said, well, she was there with him. Let's use Dr. Dre, for example, 28 years. So is she supposed to go back to the lifestyle?
I'm dying at Lawrence.
Listen, yeah, me and Lawrence had a little, you know, we're going to keep it classy for the spring. But let me tell you, like, she was with that man 28 years. So am I supposed to go back to the lifestyle that I used to have before we were married? Women never get sometimes the credit. How do you know she didn't give him some of those ideas? I always say this, and I'll say it again. I feel like good women are cultivators. So you may give me an idea, and if you have a vision, I can cultivate that vision. You cannot have a job, but by the time 6 months in, you making 6 figures. I'm a living, breathing example, okay?
Yeah,
you know? So I just kind of feel like when they say she doesn't deserve that much, or, you know, I can't say how much that woman deserves, because I don't know how much she put up with, or I don't know how much she contributed behind the scenes that will never make the post. That will never be seen. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I just think it gets messy, and I think culturally sometimes it gets messy. When Jeff Bezos divorced his wife, it was a big public topic, but she's still on the board. They're not messing up the money. Okay, she is still on the board, and so we can look at this a variety of different ways. But my thing is this: there's definitely benefits to being married. But as some of you have alluded to, you have to, one, find the right person. Two, fundamentally, you have to make sure your values and morals are the same. And you have to make sure that you're healed, because a lot of times you bring an old baggage to your new relationship expecting it to work. And of course, it's not going to work, because you still projecting onto this new relationship what you haven't left in the old one. And so there's just a lot of things that go on to it. But Lawrence, you seem like you had something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one thing, circling back to something Ron said about men, I think this is just to all the dudes out there: stop posting these thirst traps. You do get out, you get back what you put out. Yeah. Dudes will come out here and post your Gucci belt, post your car, post all your money, say how you living all fly and everything, and then get mad, and it's like, oh, I attracted a gold digger. Like, you sitting out here attracting girls because you out here showing all the money, acting like you got it like that, and then when she comes to you and she want the money, like, oh no, she tried to take everything I had. No, you was the one acting like you had it like that, so stop it. If you don't want a woman,
I want to go to Nobu too.
Right.
You feel me? It is not your fault. He posted Nobu every week. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. Yes, you're gonna get out what you're gonna get back what you put out. Going back to the spousal support and stuff, I agree that if you're in a relationship, that everybody deserves something when it ends, or if you're in a marriage. But that whole Dr. Dre thing is ridiculous. All right, she was out here asking for $20,000 a month for a cell phone, $10,000 a month for laundry and stuff. I was like, come on. That's
like pennies to them. That's pennies.
Isn't she a lawyer? She's like a big lawyer anyway, so she got it. And also, he's not paying just for her; he's paying for her whole team and her kids.
But let me tell you what I thought it was funny, and I stopped reading into it when I saw that supposedly like a day or 2 days, or maybe the same day of their marriage, like Dr. Dre tried to throw in a prenup or something. Did y'all see that?
Yeah, and supposedly he ripped it up or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so that's when I was like, yeah, I don't know. So if you go into something with like those kind of intentions, or you guys aren't like, equally balanced or have a full understanding before you get married, then you end up, in the situation that they're in.
Well, then I have a question too, which, since we're on the topic of finances, because we spoke about love, we spoke about the connection, we spoke about children and some of our examples. How big was it for you two as a married couple? Was it for you guys to be financially independent? Was it a major issue for you guys? Do you feel as though financial stability should play a major factor of two individuals becoming one? And what are your overall thoughts on prenups?
I feel like you were about to go into something, but I feel like if you go into a marriage with the mindset of, oh, we need to sign a prenup and we're going to do this, this, and this, then I don't think you're really marrying the person that I don't think you're marrying them for all the right reasons. Like, I feel like somewhere behind your mind is some doubt. So I feel like we didn't do a prenup. I feel because, for one, we are, however long we've been together, like Gigi, what you said, I think at the end of the day, if we decide to go split our separate ways, if we split everything equally down the line, then that's fine, because he's been here the whole time and I've been here the whole time. Like, we went through this together. We have the kid, everything we went through together. So it's like, who's to say, oh, you deserve this, or you can pick and choose different things over this lifespan of the marriage. I feel like I just don't really agree with it. And there's some people who do. It's just me personally. I feel like it just, when we decided to get married, I didn't have a doubt in my mind. And I don't care if we was dead broke, or if Deron didn't have any finances, and I'm pretty sure, like, if it was the other way around or whatever, we're going to figure it out. Like, I'll lift you up so we can be making the same or even more, or you can come with that specific idea that going to bring the family to the next level. Because at the end of the day, I believe in my husband, and I know I'm sitting on a gold mine, and once the world gets to know who he is, it's like, then I'm going to be looking like, we are going to do the same thing for each other. So finances, for me, wasn't an important factor, because at the end of the day, I feel like money can come. Money will come regardless of, like, coming from Northern California, I just know we have like hustle mentality. So it's like we could think of some kind of ways to make some money. And so that's not the determining factor of our love.
And people forget, you also inherit the debt. So I might inherit some money, but I'm also inheriting your student loans, don't I?
I'm triggered.
Absolutely. I do want to throw it to this. We got an interesting comment. Ashley Hamilton has been going in, but I think this is an interesting perspective. You enter marriage and love with all the right intentions, but the reality is that divorce rate is over 50%, and some people will try to run you dry if the divorce is bitter. I see where she's coming from, and I know there's some people out there in the world that are very analytical and very logistical, and they don't play about their money. And come hell or high water, you are not going to get in between me and my career aspirations and my goals and my finances. So I totally understand both sides of the coin. But Lawrence, looked like you were getting ready to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree with Nakia and Ron. Find somebody that when you're coming into the relationship, you have enough history with, that you feel equally yoked with. And that way you don't even have to worry about it. Because if y'all both are financially stable on your own, if y'all both coming in with like true love, then it's not a problem. But if you're coming in with 100 times more money than this other person and you don't trust them or haven't been with them that long, then maybe you should wait before you get married. I also wanted, we don't have to talk about it right now, but I think one other critical topic about this, about marriage, is monogamy and sex. Like we talked about money, finances, ring, everything, but
that's part 3, Lawrence.
Oh,
no, that's part 3.
Well, no. That's a different type of relationship. I'm talking about through a traditional marriage.
Yeah.
We're all human beings. People make mistakes, whatever. I just want to know from you guys, how have you dealt with that issue, especially knowing each other for so long and being together for so long? How have you dealt with that aspect? Because that's a real thing. Like I think about that too, potentially getting married and all stuff like that.
Yeah. Being here in LA, like it is really hard. Like I had to stop going to the Ralphs down the street because when I go there, I feel like every girl is like coming from the gym or something.
They go to the grocery store.
At the grocery store.
They be choosing in that grocery store, girl.
In North Hollywood, it's like it's a singles town, and I recognize that. But I'm glad you said that, Lawrence, because I wanted to say when I realized I was ready for marriage and that I could stay committed was when I realized that my purpose is bigger than me, right? So I have to think about the entertainment industry and what I'm getting myself into. For example, let's just say hypothetically, I met, you, Gigi, or Jasmine. I've been knowing Sharif for a while. But what if I start hitting on y'all? Maybe I don't get this opportunity to be, on the Yep Network. You know what I mean? Because the dynamic of our relationship is different. You know what I mean? You see me as a guy trying to get at you. So like me being married and like having one woman being able to be locked in, it allows me to have like more female friends, to do business with them, have a purpose with them, build with them without like crossing that line where we have sex. And then once you have sex, you build a soul tie, right? Pastor Torrey talks about soul ties, where we don't think that we're connected to the people that we have sex with, but there is a connection there.
That might be part 4.
That's deep. Yeah, that was great.
That's actually a good place to leave it off. I think that was great. Thank you, Ron. And we're definitely gonna touch on it some more in part 3. So please make sure you are tuning in. I just want to really quickly do a roundtable with our hosts, and then we'll also we'll start off with Nakia and Ron. If you have any final thoughts or final words regarding Black love and Black marriage.
I just want to give my condolences to Breonna Taylor's family, to be honest. My thoughts have been with her this entire day.
Yeah.
Yes. The same as what Duran said. And for anyone out there thinking about marriage or feeling constricted, just take your time, because it's not a rush to get married. It's a lifetime commitment in some cases for some people. So just take your time and listen to your heart and pray on it.
Absolutely. Jasmine?
My shirt today says "Make love, not war." So I encourage everyone to love on themselves so you can be better and love on other people.
Lawrence?
Also, rest in peace to Breonna Taylor, and all prayers to her family. Black love does exist. We got to see it today. Black marriages exist. And I think one thing that Nakia and Ron showed me was that it's going to be a bumpy road. Like everything in life is a bumpy road. It's going to be twists and turns, but stick with it. And if the love is there, it'll happen.
It's Gigi.
I just wanted to give a shout out to this comment, Oceana Ellis. Yes, I'm getting married on Saturday. Girl, congrats. Okay. I just wanted to thank you guys for being on the show. I love this because there's not enough representation, positive representation on television or, even in everyday lives. Black marriages aren't extinct. They're just not trendy, I should say. And so 80% of Black women are married to Black men, and that's not something that, the media may give to you. And so I just want to encourage everyone, when you are picking your partner, make sure that you handle whatever baggage that you have. Make sure you try to heal, go to therapy, do what you have to do so that you're ready when you find your king or queen. And I also want to say that marriage is a partnership. So meaning that sometimes you may or may not agree with your partner, but it doesn't mean that you get out of the agreement. It just means that you figure out a way to make the deal or the situation work. I think sometimes we pull out a little too fast. And last but not least, I say it every week and I'll say it again, please, please, please research your local officials, politicians, judges. Make sure that you are registered to vote locally, and you know the propositions that are on the ballot, because if I get locked up tomorrow, the president is not going to give me, they're not going to make the decision on my behalf, but that local judge in my community are the ones that are going to make that decision. And last but not least, I say it every week, your mental health is so important. Try not to stress. When you stress, it does weaken your immune system. Take your herbs, vitamins, vitamin C, whatever you got to take, and protect your peace.
Thank you. Thank you. My last words for the day. I do want to give a special shout out to Miss Toya Jackson and her husband. It's their anniversary today. So I do want to shout them out. A wonderful couple, shining beacon within the entertainment industry as well. I do want to thank everyone, especially Nakia and Ron, always supporting and being a part of this episode. I've learned a lot, and especially that last piece that you said, Ron, about men not being out there being loose magoose, blocking your blessings. So I appreciate you for saying that. But also, please, everyone, make sure you are following us, _network. Please tell your friends, tell your mamas, your granny. There's
Oh, nappy over here. What's up, Peyton? Get in the camera.
I love it.
Hey.
I love it. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please stay tuned for next week's part 3. We're going to be talking about polyamory and monogamy, and it's going to get real deep. So, yes, stay tuned for next week. And thank you guys. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Bye.